mysterious. What's going on, fam? And welcome back to Cryptid Mysterious. I know it's been a minute since my last video. I do apologize. It's been a pretty crazy couple weeks here, but I'm back at it. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate you smacking that for me real quick. Well, let's get into today's Bigfoot sighting. This one comes to us from Brian. Let's jump right in. It was in July of 2015 when a couple of my besties and I were on a hike in the Rocky Mountains on our way to Dream Lake. We were about 4 hours into the trek and were following a meandering trail at some elevation, working our way around an enormous boulder, and from our vantage point, Long's Peak was visible way in the distance. To our left, and falling away from the trail, was a slope covered in some grass, brush, and small pointed pines of many shapes and sizes. As we had just made it around this large boulder, there were several other smaller and flatter rocks that seemed to be inviting us to take a break. So we did. The trail here almost gave the appearance of tan beach sand, in contrast to the surrounding color palette. Just ahead of us, at a distance of about 200 feet, this tan trail wound around a bend and vanished from view. The three of us had chosen different spots to cop a squat on two different boulders. My back was to the very view that I had just described to you because of where and how I chose to sit, as was my friend Kevin's. Bobby, however, chose to sit on a smaller boulder that was about 10 feet down the slope and facing towards the direction of our heading. I was munching on a couple packages of Belvitas and drinking some Gatorade when Bobby said, "Hey guys, there's something coming." It was about 2 seconds after what he had just said registered in my brain that he then said, "What the heck is that?" Startled, Kevin and I quickly spun around. The three of us were now sitting with our collective eyes fixed on a large, brown figure that had stopped dead in the middle of the trail ahead of us, having just come around the bend. I guess, momentarily, it hadn't registered in Bobby's mind that he was looking at a Bigfoot, because now we were all too well aware of what it was we were seeing. The creature appeared to be equally as shocked as we were from the way it had suddenly stopped and stood there. It was staring right at us and began to rock from side to side. At this point, we'd all gotten to our feet and were looking right at it, I think at a distance of about 125 feet or so, if my memory serves me correctly, as we just faced each other off. What I'm about to say may seem really off the wall, but I'm going to say it anyway, because nobody who listens to this will ever meet me to beat me up about it. In that moment, a deep sense of despair and loneliness started to overwhelm me. It hit me like a spiritual wave, and this feeling wasn't for us, but rather for this creature. I felt as though it was emotionally distraught and wanted to communicate that to us, but it couldn't. There was absolutely nothing aggressive whatsoever about its posture or actions. To me, it was just exuding sadness. What I did next, only a pet lover will understand. But I gently raised my hand and said, "Hello there, where are your friends?" I tell you the truth and no lie. In the moment, I didn't have an ounce of fear in me about this creature. I only felt sorrow, as though it badly needed help. And no sooner that I did this, it raised its arms gently and kind of nodded its head, retreating back from where it had come. As soon as it had moved out of sight, my friend Kevin, not knowing how or what I was feeling, said, "That was awful." I asked, "What do you mean?" He said, "I felt like I was at a funeral or something. It was like a heaviness was all over me while that Bigfoot was standing there." I told him, "I can't believe you just said that, because all I could feel was a sadness about the thing, and you just confirmed it with your own lips." He said to me, "Yeah, man, it was like it just wanted to talk to somebody and was even more upset that it couldn't." We all slowly walked up to where it had just been and could actually still see it walking back down the trail. As we stood watching, it turned its body one more time to look back at us and disappeared. When I say disappeared, I'm not talking about around a blind corner. I'm talking about it vanished. Like, now you see me and now you don't, if you catch my drift. The three of us just stood there looking at each other in the trail as if to say, "Did we just see that?" What's more weird, seeing a Bigfoot or seeing it vaporize in front of our own eyes? Yet, we had just seen it. I looked down at my feet and could clearly see the prints of what would have been large human-like feet in the sandy surface of the trail. This being that actually had substance to it, having left tracks, had just vanished before our very eyes. I have no explanation for what I've just conveyed to you, nor will I attempt to rationalize the event in any way, shape, or form. You can simply accept it or reject it entirely, and I will understand. As the creature stood in the trail at a fairly close distance to us, it seemed to be almost 7 feet tall, and its shoulders twice as broad as the trail, being some 4 feet or so. It had simply come to a halt upon seeing us, and was gently rocking back and forth from the waist up. The hair was somewhat long and brown, and I could see the skin of its chest through its fur. The skin on its face looked like weather-beaten, dark gray. The hands were the same. How is it that something that has form and shape and function can just disappear is beyond me? I really don't expect anyone, frankly, to believe me. Yet, I've told the story again and again, and now I have told you. Well, another awesome encounter if you ask me. I mean, that one was a little bit different. Yeah, I've heard of them disappearing before. That always strikes me as odd, but the feeling they got, that was a little different. They didn't feel any fear. Interesting. I mean, I know I've heard it before. There's been encounters before I've heard that there wasn't a crazy amount of fear. Like, the majority of the times, there's the fear that's associated with these sightings and infrasound and whatnot. But a sadness, feeling like you're at a funeral or like something's wrong. He's communicating something. And then the thing that gets me, though, I get the telepathic communication of emotion, that feeling, but it's the disappearing act that still gets me. What do you think? Is there something spiritual or alien or dimensional or, I don't know. I have heard thousands of these, and I still don't know where to put my finger on this one when they disappear. What do you think? Drop in the comments. And if you've had an encounter with a Bigfoot, I'd love to hear about it. Or anything mysterious for that matter. Ghosts? Aliens? Dogman? Shoot me an email at cryptidmysterious@gmail.com, and I'll see you in the next one.